Hey guys, welcome to Big Bend. I am here with Caden and Ethan and Olivia, and we are going to go on a family backpacking trip up into the Chisos Mountains at Big Bend. We are taking the Pinnacles Trail up to Pinnacles campsite number 2 tonight, and this is going to be a really exciting trip. Hopefully we see some cool wildlife like bears, and we're excited to get after it. So follow along, and we'll see you. So we got up at 4 this morning and left our house by about 4:30. Drove a little over 8 hours out here to Big Bend and up into the Chisos to the Basin Trailhead. And it's probably a little after 2 o'clock, 2 or 2:30, and it's definitely the heat of the day, but we're headed up to some of the shade of the big pine trees, and we're pretty excited about that. We don't have real far to go today. Only a couple miles, maybe 2.5 or something like that to our campsite. So we're just taking it nice and slow, taking lots of breaks and enjoying the big mountains. So it is early October, but it's definitely still feeling like summertime out here at Big Bend. It was lower 90s down at Panther Junction when we got here, and I think the high way up in the mountains is supposed to be in the mid to upper 80s today. And I think for the rest of our trip we're looking at mid to lower 80s during the day, and then around upper 50s to around 60 degrees at night. This is a common theme with our family, is hiking from shade to shade and taking breaks. Take lots of breaks, and that's totally fine, especially here because we get really cool views looking up in the mountains. All right, we have made it to Pinnacle site number 2. This is it back behind me. Literally just walked in, had a long, slow hike in, which is totally fine. And we still have plenty of time to set up and relax for the night. It's always a killer waking up, driving all the way out here, and then coming up so much in elevation. We're gonna hang out in the shade back here around the bear boxes, and then once we catch our breath a little bit, we'll get our tent set up. So these are the views right behind Pinnacles number 2 campsite. This side is pretty wooded in, but we do get to look up at the pinnacles right behind us, so that's pretty nice. And I think that's going to look really cool once the sun starts going down. So we got some water boiling for mine and Olivia's dinner, and Olivia is making the boys peanut butter and jelly on flour tortillas rolled up, and that's what they're gonna have tonight. Our boys are super picky eaters, and so basically having two different sets of meals on this trip. Olivia and I are having some sort of like herb couscous with olive oil and chicken, and I had that on a previous trip and it was super good, so excited about that. It's about 6 o'clock and we are starving.
Tortilla family! Blessings. One love. Friendship.
Friendship! Third place comes lost people. Second place comes the tree eating aliens.
What do you think?
First place comes
It's really good, but I'm craving salt, and so we should have some salt.
So we walked over to Pinnacles campsite number 3. This site's right at the entrance of Pinnacles number 2 where we're staying, and definitely has a better view. That is really cool. And the campsite overall is probably better than number 2, so keep that in mind if you're considering staying over here.
Now, joke time with the Halls. Why didn't the lobster share his cookie with the clam?
Why?
'Cause he was shellfish. What's a bee's favorite food?
What?
Wasabi.
Have you heard the rumor about butter?
No.
I won't spread it.
What do you call a pig that does karate?
What?
A pork chop. Well, that's pretty much the end of day 1. Sun obviously hadn't gone down yet, but I think we're getting pretty tired. Dinner was pretty good. The hike was, it was all right. It was a struggle at times, but really not too bad. Anyway, so just a peaceful evening. That buck was pretty cool to see over at the next campsite, and the rocks are really pretty back behind us. Probably can't see them very well through the trees, but anyway. So hopefully a good night's sleep tonight, and we'll wake up tomorrow, and we only have about 6 miles total that we're going to hike tomorrow. We're going to go up to the south rim and check that out, refill our water, and move over to the Laguna Meadows campsites. So anyway, for the end of day 1, we'll see you later. Good morning, everybody. It is around 8 o'clock, and we all woke up about 7 and hung out in the tent a little bit, waiting for the sun to come up. And you can see from the rocks back behind me, the sun is starting to come up. And everybody's over there eating breakfast. The boys are working on their Junior Ranger books, and they just ate some Pop-Tarts. We also have some biscuits with honey for them for this morning. Then Olivia and I are going to have biscuits and gravy, and we pre-cooked the biscuits at home. Brought the packet of gravy, which I'll divide between those 2 freezer bags, and we will add the water to it and tear up the biscuits and put it back in there with the gravy. We also pre-cooked some bacon and cut it up, and we have our stuff set out for easy coffee this morning, and Olivia brought some powdered creamer for her. And the boys just finished their word search on their Junior Ranger book and enjoying the last couple bites of their Pop-Tarts. Lots of deer at this campsite last night as the sun was going down, and this morning there were quite a few out here. Another buck besides what we saw last night right here in our campsite. And lots of wind last night. Good thing we had our tent staked down. It really wasn't too windy at the tent because we're blocked by the trees and the big rock and everything, but you could definitely tell there was quite a bit of wind blowing through all the trees. We are headed out about 9 a.m. We got a little more up to do. So we've come up several switchbacks, and that's a view, that's a window over there on the left looking down into the desert, the basin where we parked our car farther down there. Really pretty this morning. There's Casa Grande, that big square top mountain. And then right over here underneath those, that's where we camped 100 foot down or so.
Good morning, Big Ben!
How you doing this morning?
My chest is really tight and I can't breathe.
And
I'm super sore.
Asthma's kicking your butt.
Yep, asthma's kicking my butt. The post-COVID asthma's kicking my butt.
What about you?
My chest hurts a tiny bit and my legs hurt a tiny bit.
You're fine, dude. Ethan, how you doing this morning?
Great. Are you the only one?
How are you this morning, Dad?
I'm great. Ethan, how close are we to the top?
I would guess probably about a couple feet. Couple feet?
So we just made it up to the top. We are here by a little side trail up to Emery Peak, and we are not doing that. But we got our first glimpse of part of the wildfire from this past year. And you can see a lot of trees are burned, and there's still lots of trees are not, which is always nice. But just really beautiful wildflowers everywhere out there. Try to get you a little closer up view of some of them. And then of course the view off the top. High enough now we can see over the mountains we've been looking across the basin at, all the way down through the window to the desert floor. Really pretty. We're excited to start hiking down into Boot Canyon, and we're going to refill our water there. So it's about 10:30, and we took a pretty good break up there at Pinnacle Pass. And when we got up there, there was only a few ladies up there, and they were heading down right about the time we got there. But then right after we got there, it started being floods of groups, and there was probably 15 or 20 people. A little too much for us, so we're heading down the trail down into Boot Canyon, and hopefully the pipe's flowing. That would be awesome. A little bit of murky water. You can tell all next to where we've been hiking, there's just tiny bits of water. A lot of it looks more like mud, and we are not even to Boot Spring yet, so I think that's a good sign that there may be water flowing down there, and if not, we'll find it in the pools further up the canyon. So we just passed the cabin, and we can already hear water flowing, so that is really awesome coming out of the pipe from down here. Gonna refill our water. And just a side note, I asked the ranger at headquarters if there was any water coming out of the pipe, and not saying they lied or anything like that, but they said probably not. So just keep in mind that just because they say there's not any water doesn't mean there's actually not any water. So we're going to come down here and fill our water up. Pretty excited about that. Pretty good amount of water flowing out of the pipe. You can hear quite a bit more water actually flowing down from the canyon over there. Tiny little waterfall pouring off. So we got a pretty good amount of flow out of here. I'd say probably 2 liters a minute or so. This is a half-liter bag that I'm filling up. The Sawyer squeeze filter is super easy. Put it on there, turn this over, and squeeze it into our bag we're putting it in. I've already filtered a few liters out of there. Just squeeze it down into here, super easy, and don't even necessarily know that you need to filter the water coming out of the pipe, but we are, just to make Olivia feel better anyway. We are headed on from the Boot Canyon Spring, and we're hiking down toward the south rim. Quite a bit of big trees burned in here. You can see that one right in the center of the shot. Pretty big pine. There's a bunch like that that are burned. A lot of smaller trees made it, and then there are some bigger trees that made it also. Lots of flowing water through the canyon, which is kind of neat. I've definitely been here when there have been pools, but I have never seen water actually flowing down through here. I know one thing's for certain, here in a couple years after all these trees have fallen down, it's definitely going to be way sunnier in here. Pretty extensive burn across this area. As we hike back toward the south rim where the fire started. So Ethan stepped over that snake right there. You can see its tail back towards us, and then Olivia saw it right as she went to step down, and there was a little bit of a scream. Little snake just hanging out on the trail, sunbathing. We are almost to the edge of the rim. I can see the sign up there, just to the right of the center of the shot. Caden and Olivia are making their way up right behind us. And we are going to have a late lunch. Took us a while to get up here. Not too bad of a view for our lunch spot. We're going to eat real quick and then continue hiking around the south rim up to some of the more wide open views. Lots and lots of trees burned right here at the rim. Lost a lot of the good shaded spots to sit right at the edge. We did get a good tree, but I walked this direction looking for another good spot to sit under a shade tree, and there wasn't a whole lot to choose from. Pretty solid burn right here. This is the South Rim 4 campsite. That's where I stayed last time we were here about a year ago, and it looks much different. Definitely very thinned out from the fire. Saw 3 bears here last time right at this campsite. The boys are really wanting to see some bears. I think I might have got their hopes up a little bit, but I'm still hoping we see some too. Made it to the side trail for Laguna Meadows 2 through 4, and I bet everybody I'm with is going to be super happy because they're all getting pretty tired. Pretty good view, the side of Emery from our campsite, and this is a really big campsite. Definitely good for a small group of people. There's the bear boxes right over there. We passed one tent pad on the way in. Here's another big tent pad. And then there are a couple more right back in this back corner. So you definitely can fit several tents around here. Lots of shade. Although it's not like super closed in, you still have some views. So say we got a pretty good one. So this is the pit toilet right over near the Laguna Meadows sites. and it is literally just right across the trail. And that's typical of what the pit toilets look like up here in the Chisos. Not super nice or anything, but they're there, make it easy to do your business. And the our sites are just right up here, right over to the right hand side. And then in the morning we will be headed down the trail over that direction right there. Got a few more miles to go down in the morning. And I think we did about 6 miles today. Everybody is pretty tired. I could tell we were definitely slowing down that last little bit, but the boys did really good, not complaining. And this is a big hike for them because we've only ever done mountains one time, and that was in Dog Canyon side of Guadalupe Mountains, and we didn't do anything near this hard, so they've done a really good job and I'm real proud of them. Well, we got our tent and everything set up. The boys are making little rock structures. I'll give you a little tour around of some of our gear. This is the REI Trail Hut 4. I did a review of this tent on my channel, and I'll post a link of that below. But inside, that's our 4 pads. That's what they look like. So Caden's on the left over there on the Sea to Summit ultralight insulated pad. Olivia is next to him in that gold color. It's a Thermarest Neo Air. I have this Big Agnes Q-Core SLX pad. And then Ethan, poor Ethan, he just has a mat over here. It's like an old Z-Rest mat that I've cut down. I don't even think they call it that or sell that exact one anymore, whatever it is. I've had that since I started Boy Scouts long time ago, so it's probably 20 years old or so. Anyway, they're having a good time. It actually feels really good out here. Not near as many bugs out here as there were at our last campsite. I will say it's been kind of nuts. There's been way more mosquitoes here at Big Bend than I've seen on any of my previous trips. But they're not real bad here at this campsite, at least not yet. So it's about 5:30 and I think we're gonna start making dinner soon.
Now it's joke times with the Halls.
Jokes time.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the ball?
Why?
Because he had no body to go with. Why do the seagulls fly over the sea than the bay? Why? Then they'd be bagels.
What do you call a cow with no legs?
What?
Ground beef.
What kind of pants do ghosts wear?
What do they wear?
Boo jeans. For dinner, we're having mac and cheese with vegetables in it, and I've had this for a long time and we've yet to eat it, but it's actually pretty good. We had to come get in the tent because it is super buggy outside. I just cannot believe the amount of mosquitoes we've had at both of our campsites and various places along the trail.
We were getting eaten alive out there.
Eaten alive. Well, we're in the tent. We have the rain fly pulled back and we're looking at the stars through the tent. The boys have been watching a movie on our phone and had a good end to the day. Everybody is tucked in tight. And we're ready for bed. So we'll see you in the morning. We got probably 3.5 miles. We got probably 3.5 miles. Good night. Well, good morning, everybody. It is 7:20. The sun is just starting to come up, first light, and we are packed up. Just finishing packing up our last little bit of stuff, and we are about to head down the Laguna Meadows Trail. And Been up for a while. Woke up about 6:15 or so. Had some coffee and just been hanging out trying to stay warm. A little bit cooler this morning than it was the first morning. Really not too bad. And I think once we get walking, we'll definitely get warmed up. So let's get to it.
Good morning, Big Ben!
You can't put that in your video.
We are getting really close to being in the sun. It's almost over the mountains. Luckily, we don't have too much more to go. All right, Caden, what was your favorite part?
Probably seeing all the deer.
Where at?
They were very close.
At our campsite?
Uh-huh.
Yep, that was cool.
That was very
What
cool.
was your least favorite part?
My least favorite part was falling.
Falling a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what was your favorite part?
Probably same thing as Caden.
Same thing as Caden, all the deer we saw?
Yeah.
That was neat. What was your least favorite part?
We didn't get to see any bears.
No bears. I'm so sorry. All right, Olivia, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was all the wildflowers and the butterflies up at the south rim where everything had burned and all the new stuff grew back. It was really pretty. And last night I enjoyed looking up at the stars, and I slept really good last night too.
And what was your least favorite part?
My back hurting.
Yeah. Woo!
Well, guys, we made it back. Thanks for following along, and we'll see you next time.